This is the heartland of Sicily, away from the busy streets of the island's capital, Palermo. Throughout Roman times, Sicily was described as the grain field of Italy. The particularly fertile soil here produces what locals will proudly tell you are some of the world's best olives. Olive oil has been a part of Mediterranean life for more than 3,000 years, and it's the most essential and basic ingredient to Sicilian and Italian dishes. The Sicilian countryside is also one of Europe's oldest winemaking regions. From its wine and olives to its lemons and oranges, this rural heartland has for centuries exported its produce to Europe and beyond. But the idyllic scenery and peaceful farm life was the cradle for one of the most infamous of organizations. Sicilian food is well known around the world, but Sicily is also famous for something else, the Mafia. Behind me is the town of Corleone, which was featured in the film The Godfather. But the reality of the Mafia is far from Hollywood glamour. This secret criminal organization spreads its tentacles into all parts of society, including into the very food that people eat. The Sicilian Mafia is known as Cosa Nostra, or Our Thing, and it started in the 19th century as a racketeering organization, springing from the groves around Palermo. Farmers were compelled to pay protection money to the Mafia, which went on to become one of the most powerful and notorious criminal organizations in the world. It may have gone global, but it retains a local grip, one which Antonino Iannazzo, the mayor of Corleone, knows all too well.
The Mafia is an organization that tells you where to go, what to eat, how to dress, what you should buy. The Mafia can influence the strategic decisions of the Republic, who gets promoted, who gets stopped, which politicians to join the parliament. If they were business plan, it would be perfect. It's a shame, it's a criminal idea.
Two magistrates, both from Palermo, became particularly famous for their anti-mafia investigations. Giovanni Falcone, seen here on the left, and his colleague Paolo Borsellino on the right, made it their mission to indict mafia bosses. In 1992, both men were killed in separate car bomb attacks, less than 2 months apart, in Palermo. The killings started a wave of public rebellion against the Mafia. This show of defiance to organized crime became apparent at Borsellino's funeral. After the deaths of the two prosecutors, the Italian government went on the offensive, confiscating lands belonging to known mafia bosses and distributing them to cooperatives of local farmers. This cooperative is called Libera Terra, or Liberated Land, and the food it produces is clearly labelled as mafia-free, a bold move against the mafia, but not one without its problems.
We had some retaliation on our first year working. We had no people working here. We had 2 fields burnt and a tractor stolen. And we also had no distributor in Sicily.
The presence of the Mafia is still strong in many parts of Sicily. The Antica Focacceria di San Francesco is famous for more than its spleen sandwiches. The Conticello brothers, who run the restaurant, had their own brush with Cosa Nostra in November 2005, when a man they'd never seen before walked into their restaurant.
A person came to visit us, asking to meet my brother or me, because he had something to tell us. We told him that it was maybe better to meet him after 1 hour, because at that time we couldn't speak with him. And this was the first part of this story.
The Conticello brothers called the local police and told them of their suspicions. An hour later, when the same man returned to talk to Fabio's brother, plainclothes policemen were nearby.
2 people from the staff of Carabinieri, the local police, was sitting exactly in front the table where my brother and that man were speaking about something. He just said that probably it's better that you have inside your restaurant a person who could help you. Vincenzo, my brother, understood immediately what he wanted, and he told him immediately, but maybe you were asking me to pay the pizzo, the protection.
The man was arrested and charged with attempted extortion. He's now serving a 10-year prison sentence. The brothers identified him in court, making them the symbol of how individuals can stand up to the mafia. But that's something which has cost them some clients.
Many clients was visiting our restaurant in a regular way, so we could see them 1 or 2 times for each month, for example. And we noted in the next 6 months no visit from them.
For every client who's been too scared to frequent the restaurant, there has been a new one who comes to show his or her support. But they eat under the scrutiny of more than 20 surveillance cameras and 24-hour police protection, testament to the continued mafia threat.
If you ask me if I'm afraid now about this situation, in one part of my idea I can say no, I'm not afraid, because I know I'm not alone. I know police is with me and people is with me. In the other part, of course, as a man, as a businessman, I can say, of course, I know that we opened something of new, and probably some people from Mafia could remember tomorrow what we did, and then it could be a problem, but we don't want to think about this situation.
The Conticello brothers have become inspirations for others who want to say no to the mafia. More and more of these signs have been popping up in shop windows all over Palermo. Addio pizzo means goodbye protection money, and it shows that these shops publicly refuse to pay the mafia. Organized crime is not the only challenge that Palermo is facing. The relentless pace of development has meant that Palermo is growing, but not in the way that some would like to see. Giovanni Franzita is an architect who's concerned about the risk of losing Palermo's cultural heritage to modern urban development. He says Palermo's open markets are a case in point.
The area of Vucceria market is important. If you look at the buildings, you will find them empty. They have been bought, and the people who bought them are waiting for something. Waiting until they replace the market with residential buildings. So there is no will to develop the market. In fact, for them, the earlier it dies, the better it is.
The architecture may be changing, but one tradition still going strong in Sicily is the daily ritual of a sit-down family meal.
Barbara Serra di Al Jazeera.
I was invited to Sunday lunch by the Provenzano family, who own and run a local laundrette.
Buongiorno, Barbara.
I had high hopes of a great meal until I found out I had to cook too.
Sort of dark inside, then it's finished. And?
Ma lo sai che sei brava.
Ah, grazie. She says I'm good, but she's just being nice.
3 generations of the Provenzano family sit down for a meal together every day. Today, it's aubergine and pasta with some animated conversation on the side.
Grazie di avermelo detto.
Veramente?
Facciamo un piatto di pasta aglio. Questa posizione della Sicilia che è sempre...
Palermo may be beautiful, but life here is sometimes difficult. Sicily has one of the highest unemployment rates in Europe. This leads many to emigrate to mainland Italy or abroad. But while some Sicilians leave to find work, foreigners from developing countries make the perilous journey from the south of the Mediterranean for their own chance of a better life. Not all find the success they'd hoped for, but 30 years ago it was possible to make a new life from scratch. Abdul Hameed is a Tunisian who arrived penniless in Palermo in the 1970s. Today, he owns 3 restaurants in the city.
The menu we serve is a mixture of Italian and Tunisian food. We serve Italian pizza and we serve Tunisian dishes such as couscous or other Tunisian appetizers. It was a new thing that we introduced and people liked and enjoyed it.
Abdul Hameed's restaurant is situated here in Piazza Olivella, the center of Palermo's nightlife and a melting pot of eateries and people. On the city streets, it's clear to see how past dominations have created a mix of peoples which has enriched the local culture and cuisine. Palermo continues to be a gateway between East and West, North and South, and as influences continue to pour in, Palermo looks set to stay true to its past and make a virtue of diversity.